back, and we got Ray joining us this week, and we're gonna blame Ray this week for starting a little late. But thanks for joining me this week, guys.
Yeah.
It's always technical. It's always something technical we're trying to figure out with sharing the stream.
It is. It is. Instagram is always a pain. But we're gonna dig into a topic that I think a lot of people are kind of confused about, and there's a lot of videos coming out. I know Millennial Mike just did one also, but kind of cash flow being a myth, also how Ray is approaching it. But like Emily, for you, for your market, would you say cash flow is a myth, or kind of this discussion on cash flow not being a thing for in real estate right now?
I think cash flow still exists. It's obviously not as easy as it used to be. Everyone talks about looking at properties that were bought a long time ago. Prices were lower, interest rates, depending on when you bought, may have been good or not. But there are still things in my market that are you can buy in cash flow. And so one thing I've been asking myself lately is, because I'm really trying to create, when I was buying stuff 10 years ago, 13 years ago, I knew I had time, and I still have time, but I'm looking at it a little bit differently as I get older, because I would buy stuff that didn't cash flow great, and now it looks really good because time in the market. But as you get older and closer to the I want to have a certain financial situation by a certain point phase, you go, well, this little cash flow, I'm looking more, not necessarily on value add, on equity, I am looking more at cash flow. So I'm really asking myself right now, when I look at things, do I buy something to start that time in the market that cash flows a little bit? Or am I waiting maybe for a multifamily that's going to cash flow a little bit better? But if I wait and I wait and I wait, and it's a couple years before I buy something, then I probably should have bought those properties 2 or 3 years ago. So this is really something I'm asking myself a lot right now. There is cash flow, but is it the numbers I want to be doing what I'm wanting to do at this age versus when I was 24?
I just want to let everyone know also that Ray's video with Michael Zuber came out yesterday, I believe. So go check out that great interview to learn a little bit more about Ray's story. But for you, Ray, maybe talk about your market and maybe how you're approaching the cash flow struggles that many people are talking about right now.
Yeah. Like I listened to Millennial Mike's video, and it was super interesting, right? Like, because I totally agree. Like, I've had properties that I bought in 2010 that definitely cash flow now, right? But then I also bought properties in 2020, 2022, and obviously my most current subject too. But like, you can definitely see the differences. I can also look at the mortgages and just how different they are, right? And I think my biggest thing is I definitely had the gift of time in my purchase in 2010, but also finding a creative deal that I was able to take advantage of, like a really good mortgage rate with low interest that I can cash flow now, right? So I think if you're using the right strategies, I think you can find cash flow. I'm not saying they're like readily available all the time, but you might find a unicorn here and there.
Yeah, I think so. Also, a lot of this stems from Dion and Brian Davila's discussion that they had that's only available on school, kind of about rentals not working in today's market. And to some extent, I mean, they both, I think, kind of agree that a lot of things may not cash flow today, right? And that was kind of Dion's point, is like if maybe you're strictly buying for exactly today's moment, then yeah, it might be difficult. And but Dion is looking at properties, like you're saying, if time is on your side, right, then things will cash flow down the road. But Ray, you're approaching it a little bit differently too, right? You're kind of working backwards, right? Like this is my goal, and what is going to be the way that I'm going to get to it with the least amount of properties, right? So maybe touch on
Yes.
that a little bit too.
Yeah. Like, and this is something that's super interesting, right? I love how Curtis kind of put it. Him and I were having a conversation, and he kind of put it in a way that I've had more pieces on the board, and some of these pieces I've owned for a while, and he's just like, maybe you just need to look at it as like shifting some of your pieces, moving things around to really maximize my cash flow. And for me, for example, we have this house that we live in, that we do a house hack Airbnb situation. And for me, I'm almost in the way of more potential cash flow. So I'm essentially moving myself out of the way and move into a different house to potentially increase it. But with Airbnbs, it's sometimes you can analyze the market and do as much as you can, but sometimes you just got to do it, and then it'll let you know whether you're going to be successful or not. So you got to put the time in.
And I also want to let everyone know that Emily and Gus came out with their video with Steve Rosenberg, which is a great video. So go check that out. And I think that was a video really probably left Emily with maybe a lot of questions, it seemed like, right after you talked about, like I said, people go watch that, but I watched it and you said, like, after this, I have a lot of maybe homework or things to kind of figure out for myself, right? So even talking on this matter of cash flow, like Ray looked at it from this is where I need to, or my goal, and he worked backwards. And I think Emily, we kind of talked about a little bit about that in Vegas too, right? As far as what the end goal is. But is cash flow a big part of it for you? Or like I said, you're doing well as a broker agent, your flips. So is the rental side cash flow a big part of what you're looking at for the end goal?
Yeah, so I do the real estate out of a necessity as far as a real estate broker. That's my earned income. And I like doing that to a certain extent, but I don't want to be so beholden to it. And so really my goal, I really have been thinking about really in the last year what I'm looking for. And then talking to Steve, I could sit and say everything I didn't want. But if I had to tell you this is what I want, like what I'm actually working toward, I couldn't tell you. I could just tell you all the things I didn't. And so I'm trying to work on that. And part of that is really trying to figure out how to increase the cash flow so that I can work with the clients I want to work with, not work with the clients I don't want to work with, because some people are crazy disrespectful of your time. And like, for instance, I worked with these people this last weekend. They wanted to see a property. Their realtor had called them, or they wanted to see a house, and they didn't have a realtor yet. So they had looked at houses with somebody, but they didn't have a representation agreement. And so like, we're really in a hurry. We have to make a decision. So I'm like, well, of course I'll show you my client's house. It was one I had listed. And then we got to a house and like, can we see this house? Can we see this? There was no list. There was no anything. I showed them all these houses. They went back to their realtor who had lied to them and said she tried to call me and I didn't answer and my house wasn't available. And then I called an agent on another one and they said, oh, that wiring's not financeable. And I called the agent and they're like, no, it's totally fine. And so I showed them all. She just didn't want to show them that weekend. They went back to their agent and put the offer on the house. I helped them find on a Saturday after looking at like 8 houses or 6 or something. They put the offer in with that other agent they had started with. So it's like I could have just showed them my client's house just to be safe and then said, nope, we're not looking at anything else unless you sign an agreement. But of course and I don't want to be doing that shit, So I want to be able to say, no, unless you do this, I'm not helping you. But when you have to pay your bills, you just jump through all these hoops.
Could I ask you a question, Emily? Like,
yeah,
do you think once you get to that number, do you think you'll still be an agent, or do you think you'll find some other thing that you'd want to do?
I will still be an agent, but I will set stricter boundaries as far as if you want to look at something with me, you're signing a representation agreement. I will hold people to that type of stuff because I'm not afraid of upsetting the community. Because I have so many people that they have written agreements and they breach contracts, and you just let it go. But you don't want to look bad by enforcing things, even though they're the one that breached their contract. And so I like real estate. I love working with investors, but I think just having boundaries with the people that aren't respectful for your time, or they call you at 8 o'clock on a Saturday and they have to see it now. I'll just say, nope, you're going to have to find somebody else. I can show it to you Monday, or I can show it to you tomorrow, or, just being more respectful of my time and not feeling like I frantically have to be beholden to the public because it might be a transaction.
Some of the agents I work with, some of them will only do listings, right? Mm-hmm. They just will not do buyers just because, they're in a fortunate position in their career that they can just do that. So I definitely get where you're coming from.
Yeah. I love real estate. It's great as an investor to have access to the things I have access to, and I've learned so much. But I just, a lot of people don't like realtors, but a good realtor, it's hard to find. So I wouldn't want to have to use another realtor for my own investments. And I just, I don't know that you can be a great realtor and have a lot of balance. So I do want to be able to set some boundaries and not care that all my income's, or most of my income's coming from that.
Stan, who probably will be able to attend the event in Vegas now that it is in January, and he's in a Mardi Gras for his Airbnbs. Always messes with his scheduling because that's, I guess, the biggest time of bookings for them. But he says the majority of investment properties will cash flow given enough time. Rent prices historically increase faster than monthly mortgage payments. And I think that that's the one thing that people are struggling with at this current moment is that things may cash flow. However, we're just in this perfect storm where cost of rehabs are going up, maintenance, insurance, property. So everything just kind of hit at once. So I think, like you're saying, over time, rent prices will probably go up faster or greater. But at this perfect moment, everything seems like it's went up all at one time, and that cash flow has kind of disappeared. And I think that's why a lot of people like Ray, like short-term rental seems to be working well for you. People are doing rent by room, like Jared, right? Brandon's doing build to rent, and I think even Emily. Like, do you think like I'm sure your agent side and your flips are probably helping you with the rental side as far as maybe that smaller cash flow, and that's why a lot of people are doing other things also right now, right?
I think one thing I keep asking myself is, and it's kind of this fear in the back of your head, do I buy something that could maybe cash flow $400 a month? And I know people say it's not really that because you have this fee and you have that and you have to account. But if I could buy something that before I worry about expenses, it's a $500 difference between the mortgage and what I could rent it for. But then I go, what's the opportunity cost of that money when I put that 25% down payment on that property? It's almost like this fear of what if, because what I would really like to be doing is starting to buy some. Are we having some weird feedback? You guys hearing that? It's gone now.
Or Ray,
Okay.
did your mic go by like an AC or something, or it sounded like a unit or something? I muted you
Then
real
it went
fast.
mute though. Can everybody hear
Well,
each
I
other
muted
now?
him. I
Oh,
muted him. Let me turn him back on. Okay, it's gone. Sounds like.
we all good?
Yeah.
Cool. But then you're afraid, okay, I think I would like to be buying some small multifamily, but there's not a lot of great options available. Some of those prices we're seeing are either really high or they're a lot of people have ran these properties into the ground for years. And so you're going to have a ton of investment to get them turned around. And so I go, okay, do I wait for a good multifamily to come around and save my cash? Or do I buy a single family that has some cash flow, but then maybe something pops up and I just use my cash because I bought two single families? And so it's almost like I'm nervous to buy and hold because I'm hoping something will come up that's more favorable. But like, how long do you wait if something sort of okay comes up? So I feel like I'm kind of in that headspace. I don't know if you guys are at all.
You want to touch on that, Ray?
Oh, what you got? I'm trying to fix this audio. You go
Okay.
first.
All right. All right. I just want to say what's up to Frank, old guy REI, and yeah, he also did a video recently on cash flow as a myth, and he kind of touched on it from maybe a different angle, more so that kind of in the first 5 years, cash flow definitely is a myth. A lot of people may cash flow on paper day one, but they don't realize these first, like we talked about, the first 5 years suck, and there's a lot of stabilization, some ongoing maintenance, and in the early part, if your portfolio is a little bit smaller, it definitely is a bigger hit to your cash flow. And I think that's why is getting through those first early years and still growing so that the bigger your portfolio becomes, it helps you offset a lot of these possible headaches that come up. Let me see real quick. So Harrison has a question: with tech layoff announcements today, do you worry that certain markets will have to lower rents, even lower cash flow, even less cash flow? So yeah, if people haven't heard, there was a lot of layoffs today. I believe also, I think the inflation, or I think it was PPI, maybe I forget which one, but it actually went up or higher than expectations. So there's a lot of confusion out there. I did see the Treasury, go down also. So people are expecting possible mortgage rate cuts. But what are your guys' thoughts about the big announcement on layoffs, and would that impact maybe rents and maybe specifically to your market? So like in your area, Emily, do you think you see lower rents, or is there a lot of layoffs going on, you think?
Tech really, I'd say that might be more of a Ray question. I don't think there's really any tech impact in our area. We're pretty blue collar, and that keeps us going. So no, I don't see that having an impact here.
Ray, what about you? Let's see if there's any back.
Yeah, I don't know what's causing that background noise, but as far as tech layoffs, I'm so out of the whole W-2 situation, just being honest with you. But nothing that I've heard here has been crazy substantial. But then again, I'm not like deep into the tech space like that.
I see Dion tuning in. He's probably gonna go live when we are finished then. So thanks for always checking in, Dion, to see if we're doing anything. But yeah, is probably the one person, not one person, but a person that a lot of people kind of relate to as far as his view on his portfolio and cash flow and how he looks at it, right? So I think that's definitely, and I think Emily, we kind of slowly touched on it in Vegas one night, talking about maybe what your end goal was. And I think even in your video that just came out with Steve Rosenberg and Gus, I think he asked you the same question, right? Kind of like, what is your end goal? And seemed like you had a hard time answering it, I guess, right? In that video. Do you want to maybe touch on that a little bit?
I think it's hard to know where I don't not want to work. A lot of people say I want to be able to work and then I make this much money and then I love fishing. I'll go fishing every day or I'll XYZ every day. I really enjoy what I'm doing and not so much the real estate side. I like real estate sales. Again, I love working with investors, whether it's new investors, whether it's existing investors, and we're crawling through a crawl space because I love that renovation construction piece. So I don't not want to do it. I want to have more control over it. I just don't want to be at the whim of somebody else. I want to be able to say, this is how and when I do it, and this is how and when I won't do it. And so for me, not being concerned where that paycheck comes from, or if somebody gets pissed and leaves a horrendous review because I won't show them something when they're standing outside a house, but I still want to be doing what I'm doing. So I think in my head, I have this is the income I want to be at so I don't have to, but then I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So I think that's where it's hard because I want to continue to do what I'm doing, just maybe with boundaries. And so I think maybe that's the answer. Instead of saying, oh, I just want to work forever, I want to work forever with very firm boundaries of what I say yes and no to.
I'd love to add to that if I can.
Please.
Yeah. Like I think everybody has their own way of like living their life and finding whatever that fulfillment is, right? And I think whatever makes you happy is what matters. And for me, like when I think about real estate and my portfolio, I definitely have a finish line, right? In my head, there's a financial situation I want to be in, where then real estate will be a complete afterthought, right? And it will be now focused on my goals, my travel, the people I get to meet, and the new hobbies, and then also just me recreating myself. I've always kind of thought about going to a different country and being like, hey, you know what? I want to be like a bread maker. You know why? Because I can, you know? And these are the kind of things that I look forward to when I'm not thinking about finances anymore, you know? So I think people just need to take more time and just really think about what that life looks like to them. And, I always kind of go to the extreme, okay? I always say, if I was on my deathbed, what would I be concerned about? How many doors I got or the people I've met, right? And everybody's different, right? And I think you just got to find your why.
I thought you were going to be Master Chef, Ray. That was in your video with Zuber, right? You mentioned that was your original plan, right? You thought they were this badass Filipino chef or something.
Well, if you know Filipinos, there's two things that they think they can do. They think they can cook and they think they can sing. Okay? So those are some of the common traits.
So like I mentioned, if you haven't seen it, go check out One Rental at a Time, Michael Zuber. He just did a video with Ray. So if you want to know a little more about Ray's story, go check that out. And we're also talking about Emily's recent interview with Gus, and they had Steve Rosenberg on, and I think he really left him with a lot of notes to go back on and kind of view. I think, Emily, the one thing for me is, let's say you didn't even. It seems that you don't need to scale, right? You're maybe like you're saying, it's almost just fine tuning things, right? And you keep on doing what you're doing, but just at a point where it's like less hands on, I guess, in a sense. And I think I don't know, that just seems like you'd still be enjoying what you're doing, and I think that part of it is what's the confusing part to you. To me, that's what it seems like. Just
The
you,
brokerage piece.
well, not broken, but just you being so involved in it. Like if somehow you could figure out a way, like, and I think that's what you guys discussed in your video, right? It's kind of almost like being remote to some extent, right?
The hard part of my business is I don't have a lot of agents that sell a lot. I have one that does a lot of business, and then I have a handful that sell a handful of things a year. But I also cap my agents. So basically, after they pay a certain amount of commission to me, a split, they get 100% commission. So even if I had the top agent in town, it's really not that valuable to me because I cap them. So I would need to have more agents reaching their cap. So my income comes from me selling a shit ton of houses. And if I don't, then my income is not. I mean, because like basically what I make off my agents kind of runs the brokerage, and I pay a lot in advertising. We give a lot of money away and stuff. And so I have to find a way that I am not so dependent on me just selling a ton of houses.
Are you gonna do a follow up with Steve Rosenberg, like as far as kind of whatever notes you took away, going back and reviewing it, and then are you guys gonna discuss it again, or no? That's you're gonna.
Matt, maybe that's an accountability thing. Maybe me and Gus need to work through some things. And I don't know if he's actioning anything on it. Like we both thought it was great, but I don't know if he's putting things into place. I definitely am. So maybe in 6 months we need to do a follow-up of here's the things we've been working through in our businesses based on this, and just me and Gus holding ourselves accountable.
So, like I said, go check it out. It's available on Emily's YouTube channel now. So go check that out and kind of see. Maybe you'll probably get a lot of notes on your own too. I think watching that video, I think it opens up a lot of people's minds and maybe what their end goal is. And if you don't have one, I definitely think that is what a lot of people are struggling with. Seems like, I see a lot of posts in school and people are still trying to determine what direction they want to go, right?
And it's so true because he said the exact same thing. He uses a lot of pilot analogies because he's a pilot, but you have to know the destination you're going to. And I think he or somebody said if you're flying and you put in something 2 or 3 degrees off, you're going to end up in a completely different, state, continent potentially than when where you intended to go by just a couple degrees. And so, and I've also heard, other real estate people online talking about if you want to go somewhere, you put it in your GPS and you find the most efficient way there. Or like Dallas, my husband even said to me once, if you want to go here and you can't communicate that to me, if we go all the way around the world, eventually you're going to get there. But if you would have just told me, I could have just gone this way. But if you can't dictate what you want, then we just did all this bullshit for no reason instead of just going like this. So I think it's really important. It's something that I have not mastered, but people that are smarter and richer than me say that. And I think it's something I need to work on.
Can I add to this? Because oh my gosh, this is such a great conversation. I chatted with Steven. Mark, you know Steven, right? The young kid from Canada.
Canada, we call him Canada Steven. Yeah, but yes.
Canada Steven. Well, Canada Steven, he's a younger guy and he's looking to buy his first investment property. And him and I were chatting. And he was telling me about, hey, I want to invest in Pittsburgh with everybody. And I was just like, cool, man. So what's your 5-year goal? Like, what are you looking to do? And he's like, well, I just want to try to get in the game, get some cash flow. And I was just like, perfect. So where do you see yourself in 5 years after that first property? Is it the cash flow that you're looking for? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm in a appreciating market. If I buy a house and I hold on to it for 10 years, it doubles. Right. And I asked him, is like, if you are making $300 cash flow, and let's say in 5 years, where do you see that cash flow being at? And is that going to suffice your strategy? Is that going to make you happy? And he's like, and he really thought about it. He was like, no, not really. That's not substantial. I think he's doing well enough with his business that, that wasn't. So I was like, are you playing the equity game? And what I realized in our conversation, he didn't really have his strategy down. Right. And I think everybody talks about their buy box. Everybody talks about, hey, this is the house that I'm looking for. This is the cash flow I want. But then they're not looking at the 5-10 year mark on why am I doing all this, right? What is my exit strategy? What is my goal for it? And I feel like those are the conversations where people are lost when I'm talking to the people in the ORAC community. And for me, I have such a I know exactly what I want. You know, I want to be able to travel more with the money I have. I don't want to wait so long for my cash flow where I'm older and I can't move, and then I don't want to get on a plane to go internationally, right? You know, I've been fortunate enough to see a lot of people who say that they want to go on vacation, but now they're too old to go do it, or their health is preventing them from doing it. So I think when we're talking about our goals, I really think we need to also think about that timeline and know that our strategy is in line with what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe you should come up with like a strategy box, right? Or like you're saying a buy box, but that's also why I think you look at some of the people in the community that are being successful right now. They started like how you're saying, I want this much, and how am I going to get there, right? So that's why, like Jared, right? He said my goal is this many years, this much cash flow. Like you're saying, long-term rentals is not going to work at this moment for me. I'm going to go rent by room to increase the cash flow. John Litz, who also got a belt in Vegas, right? He's at a certain age. He said, I have a 5-year window. I want to retire, have my pension at 5 years. Long-term rentals, same thing. And my market's not going to get me there. It's maybe more work and I'm breaking my back to do it right now, but short-term rentals is going to get me that cash flow that I need right now, right? So he's, like you said, he has his numbers set and then he's working backwards, right? Let's get to some of these real quick. Yasik is saying running your own business can be the worst or the best thing. All depends on how strong you are with sticking to your boundaries. Best way to improve lifestyle is to learn how to say no early. Oh, let's touch on that a little bit because, well, for both of you folks have your own business in a sense, right? So, Emily, what about you? Would you agree to that? Like Yasik, best way to improve lifestyle is to learn how to say no early.
Probably.
So I guess you're working on that, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, for me on that topic, I think I had mentioned this too. I think I texted the both of you guys about my idea on what to talk about in this live stream. And one of the fortunate things that I've gotten to do being a business owner is I've had a lot of silence in my life where I could just think and ponder, like, what am I doing all this for? Why are we on this earth and all that stuff? All those crazy deep questions that I didn't have time to ask myself when I was working a day-to-day job because I had to make money. You know what I mean? But I think one of the cool things that I realized was like I was really thinking a lot deeper. And that clarity is exactly what I needed to understand. Like, I'm not going to do anything in this world that's going to feel like I'm wasting my time because I'm a big believer. I only have one life. So I don't know. I get pretty deep. So let me not go too crazy here.
I do see Gus tuning in. There is his YouTube channel. I think he did put out his first video the other day. So go jump over there and subscribe. And for other people, if you are in school, if you don't know about it yet, there is a QR code now pinned to the top of the comment section. There's a QR code for everyone's YouTube channel, or not everyone, but majority of the people that are in school. So you can follow everyone's channels, help support everyone. And there's also links. So if you want to add your social media handles, there's a link to add your kind of social handles and they will update it every week. So everyone's kind of social media platforms will be on there. Also, if you guys haven't checked your emails, look out for the ORAT survey for year 3. Zuber wants feedback. He's always trying to improve the event. But let's see what else we got here. Yep, Stan says, Ray, you had me at travel. But I think, and that's also, I think, why Zuber sometimes is concerned about having the different speakers because he doesn't want people going to that shiny object. But there's also the flip side is sometimes people need these strategies to reach their goal, right?
But I also feel like it's just knowing what you want and doing what you want, because I think maybe we get caught up in the it's so this community is one rental at a time, and then you have Coach Chad Carson who's like really caught, which I like that strategy. But also Zuber, how many properties does Zuber have? 100 and over 150, right?
About there now, yeah.
Okay, so it's okay also if I think it's just knowing what you want and being honest with yourself. Because if you want to have a ton of properties, right? That's okay. If you want 150 properties because you think you have to, because you listen to somebody speak about having that many properties, that's the problem. So, like Ray's saying, sit with yourself, be honest with yourself about what you want and the life you want. Neither is wrong if it's what you actually want for yourself. It's just being really honest with yourself about the life that you do or do not want.
Can I add to that? Like I feel like there's so many people, like I know for myself, right? I didn't have a mentor in entrepreneurship, investing, finances, or anything like that. I had to learn smashing my head against a pavement, right? And I feel like in real estate, we can look at it the same way, right? You can smash your head against a pavement doing it the hard way for years and years and years, or you can have your strategy down and you could be locked in and you could do it at the least amount of time possible, right? So I think that's what I'm really striving for our community to get at.
I think that just to the flip side of that though, so Zuber got to, maybe probably more than 150, but he's at 150 right now. But part of it was, like he said, he was going alone, right? He didn't have anyone in his circle. So there wasn't other people saying like, do you need to do all of this, or is that really what you're trying to do? And so he just kept going, and I think that was his makeup kind of, right. He's just a go, hustle, and keep working, right. But then now when he looks back, he's like, man, I didn't have someone like Dion next to me being like, maybe you want to look at it a little bit differently. Or even Coach Carson though had a
Has
much
over
bigger.
150 some
Yeah,
properties too.
yeah, he had a
I'm
much
just
bigger
saying,
portfolio.
if you
No, no,
want
no.
it, it's okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you want it, it's okay. However, there's, like you said, I think it's more just we're saying don't do it alone, just so that you can hear other people's point of view, right? And don't be so focused that have your head down and you're going on this journey all by yourself, right? And I think that's where a lot of them, when they first started, there was no communities around them and they were just doing this all by themselves. And they, like you're saying, they just thought maybe they had to get 150 doors to be successful or reach their goal. But now that other people are forming these communities, it's easy to see different sides, right? And even I mean, I would say the one rental time maybe is a little bit more on that smaller portfolio side, but there is people like yourself, Gus, that are trying to get bigger portfolios, right? And like you're saying, there's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely, so if that's your goal, but just make sure you're hearing all different sides to it, right?
I think for me, oh, go ahead, Ray.
Just real quick, I was just gonna say it's like Emily kind of reminds me a lot of my buddy Chris, because you guys are just go getters, And when I talked to Chris about his idea of what he wants to build for his life and what his dreams are, they're big, they're so grand, right? And I'm just like, man, dude, I just want to be chilling on the beach, But people like you guys are so inspiring because can I tell you, sometimes when I think about my goals, it's very selfish. It feels very selfish, right? It's like I want to get to my number and I want to go do what I want to do. But what I find is with Chris, he's elevating the game, which is also like lifting all tides, right? And those are the kind of things that I feel I get kind of lost because I'm like, man, I want to work with passionate individuals like this, right? But then also I want to live this lifestyle or I'm on the beach doing whatever I want. So I think we definitely need a lot more people like Emily, right? And like Chris and like Gus, because they inspire other people. But it is hard to draw the line in the sand that says this is the where I want to be at, right? But yeah,
But
that's
I
all.
think it's, first of all, Ray, you have beautiful white teeth. They are just shining through it. Look at those teeth. Dang. No, for real, man. That one, wow, your teeth look great. That just
Okay, this is not Wednesday now where we just go
Okay.
randomly on
It just
anything.
caught
But
my
no, I'm
eye.
just
Okay. Um but I think that like I also I can't not, right? Like it's knowing yourself. And it's so funny because I work every day. Like I can't tell you the last day that I just well when we were in Vegas, I guess, right? Because but I don't if I sit, I don't feel like my something in my body is not like my husband jokes. He says, "You're a hummingbird. If you stop, you're just gonna die. Like you're just like this all the time." And I don't want to like I take a day off and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna take a day. I just feel a little burnt out. And I'll take like half the day, I'll be like 3 or 4, and I'm like, I gotta go do something. I at least gotta go do something this afternoon. I am so bored. And maybe that's an internal problem. I don't know, but I'm just not, it's not my personality. And sometimes I wish I could just be like, okay, I will have a point where I'm done, but I know I won't be happy and I know I won't be fulfilled. And so I think it's just like you just have to know yourself and know what you want and what makes you happy and just be honest with yourself. There's definitely like I even think about I tell my husband there will be a point where I don't care as much about a margin on a project. So I'm going to do a crazy bathroom in a flip and I'm going to profit less, but I'm going to make an awesome YouTube series on this beautiful bathroom and the materials, right? But I'm not going to care that the profit margin is not that good because I had a really fun time renovating that bathroom. And I think it's just we just all want different things and it's just being honest with yourself. But if I went on like if I got done and I went on a vacation and I didn't do anything else that like people that travel all the time, that's super cool. But I'd be like, can I go like get a part-time job while I'm in whatever country? I just can't. What do I do with my hands, right? Like I gotta be doing something. And so it's just being honest with yourself.
Could,
go ahead, go ahead.
no, could we ask, the people who are watching, right? Like, how are they finding ways to understand their goals? And because like we had a call on Frank's accountability just recently, and somebody was asking this specific question, right? They were a lot like you, Emily. They've grown a 30 unit portfolio, right? They've amassed this huge portfolio, but they're tired. They're tired, but they don't want to let go of some of the management side because they don't want to lose the money, right? So it's like, and I feel like this is one of those questions. Is like you really got to ask yourself like what's important, right? And once again, for me, I always go back. If you're on your deathbed, what are you more concerned about? The money that you're not going to have by sending a management company, or are you going to be more happy about the memories you're creating with your family? You know what I mean? So I just want to ask the chat to see like how are they finding their number, their timeline, and stuff like that.
Um, let's see. Do I want to? I'll just go in order, right? So I see Harrison's question real quick. So it kind of relates to this, right? So, Ray, when you want to stop doing, when would you want to stop doing short-term rentals? Is there a point you would call it quits and make them all long-term, right? So do you have an end goal, Ray?
So for me, it's like my end goal would be the growth part of the portfolio. Like for me, once I hit my number, and mine's very simple. Like mine's a lot like Dion's. I want to right around $200,000, where I can have passive enough income. Okay, and for me, I actually don't mind the management of the Airbnb. My wife and I love it, right? Like it's not super difficult. And that the fact that my partner in crime, Chris, has all these amazing systems, we're now implementing AI into our systems, making it more efficient. And the entrepreneurship side of me really loves that. So if I'm, a bread maker in some island somewhere, I'll message my guests. It's not a huge deal. You know what I mean? But to some people, maybe that's not in how they want to live their life. But for me, that's not a huge ordeal.
Stan is saying it's definitely a personal choice for what makes each person happy. My favorite moments have been hiking through the Himalayas. My wife would consider that cruel and unusual punishment. I haven't seen Lazy Sausage here before, but thanks for stopping by. Please subscribe. I'll put everyone else's channels here, but it says if you're not doing what it takes to reach a goal, you have the wrong goal. And they add in there is no such thing as luck. Luck only happens when preparation meets opportunity.
I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the only times I've ever felt lucky is because I've been grinding for years and years. And then I feel like an opportunity came, but if I would have not been grinding, it would have never came. You know what I mean? So
Justin Martinez, who's also in school, says my goals have been determined by my experience in construction and my relationships with the general contractors I know. It's a no-brainer to make these relationships stronger. Justin, I would definitely reach out to Emily in school, and I think she would be a great resource for you how to maybe grow up your portfolio and grow your business side. All Nighter Hider says to answer Ray's question, I'm out of harmony, but finding an electric fence boundary to get stability. Yeah.
Like a dog, the invisible collars, the invisible fences. Not over here. Not over here. Not over here.
Flavio says now for the community. This channel, yeah, I didn't realize I had it on. So I know I'm allowed to offer membership now, but I don't know what I'm going to offer with my membership. So I don't think I have it set up yet. I think you can offer like private or membership only live streams and things like that. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but we'll see. I'll figure it out. Well, to that point too. I keep getting a lot of people telling me I should offer things, have do a school thing and all these type of things. And I just same thing. I don't think that just fits into my end goal, right? I'm just like, I like doing these live streams, like how Zuber started his. And I look forward to each day having a certain different person. It's kind of a regular guest now. And I look forward to having these discussions, and it makes me think, definitely Emily is a lot more ambitious than I am. So I like hearing that mindset. It kind of sometimes also makes me reflect on what I'm doing and maybe like, hey, maybe you're being a little too lazy a little bit, right? And do a little bit more. So it's good talking to someone different every day. Lazy sausage says, I'm a troll, don't mind me. John Litz, like I said, he has a 5-year goal to get to his retirement. He's definitely doing a lot of cool short-term rental stuff. I'll put his channel. He has a Game of Thrones theme on his new Airbnb he's working on. Check him out on Facebook. But he says, I align with Dion's analysis as far as getting a monthly expenses amount for a 4X modifier because I have low spend. That is my concentration. He also said that very much like Emily, I can't sit too long. I need to feel some kind of progress. Let's see. Dion adds in, I relied heavily on Matt and Zuber when choosing my number. I recommend having a few peers who focus on financial freedom. Go deep with you as to choose. So I think that kind of goes back a little bit to my point of how initially, they were all doing this solo, right? Like they didn't really have other people in their network that was on this path. So they only saw one way. And like you're saying though, Emily, there's no right or wrong. It's what's right for you. But it is good to have other people that are trying to get to this same destination, but they might have a different strategy for it, right? And I think that's so. Even and anyone, if you're there, Zuber is offering to review people's portfolios. So if you want to do a portfolio review with Michael Zuber, reach out to him and let him know, and he'll evaluate your portfolio and maybe give you his thoughts on what direction you may want to go in.
can I just say I really love that. I've been watching a lot of people's video, even the ones that Dion recorded at the Vegas event, and I've really enjoyed getting a deep dive into everybody's story. You know what I mean? Because I've gotten a chance to talk to many of these people, but I never got to hear their story from beginning to end. So hopefully more people in the ORAC community do that with Zuber.
So actually, I did my recording with Zuber yesterday, and I did mention to him after we recorded that if he could come out with more like a bullet point post in school, letting people know kind of exactly if you wanted a portfolio review, kind of what information you would need to have, just so that there's some guidelines so you know what you kind of should have and what you can discuss. Because I think right now people are always asking me like, oh, so what do I need to bring, or what type of numbers do I need to have? So hopefully he's working on that.
And I hope it's just not the numbers side. I hope it's who that person is, right? Like that is, for me, that's the most interesting part, because then I can kind of reverse engineer on why they are building this financial wealth for themselves, and I can kind of put the story together, and I find that to be the most interesting.
Cody Evers is here, and he has a great. He said it's hard to balance. I want to be as free as possible when my kids are younger. Sometimes I don't make the right financial decisions because I want to make memories with the kids instead. Yep. Definitely, and actually, it's funny he mentions that because there's my friend, and he's always like, "Hey, can you pick up, so his son for football practice and this and this and this, or and I'm like, and I know what financially, for the most part, what this person has, and how they're set up, and and I'm always like, your kid's not going to want to spend much time with you in the next few years, probably, right? And I'm like, why are you working so much, like, or why are you like dumping him off on everyone every time? He's always messing, "Hey, can you watch?" And I'm just like, so I mean, I'm not, like I said, there's no right or wrong, but I just feel like it is hard to balance. But it's like I'm willing to trade off some things to make those memories and spend more time with my son, and that's why I don't, even though it drives me nuts coaching these kids flag football, I love doing it, right? I mean, I'm glad I'm out there, and I mean, these kids don't listen anymore, but it's meaningful time for me. Hyder says, I absolutely agree with Ray. I love hearing from family members. And John says, Ray, have you run an analysis on ROI for the short-term rental versus the long-term rental, looking at time and effort as well as just the bottom line?
Can I tell you, it doesn't even compare. Like the profits that I'm making in the Airbnb side, like I'll just break it down. Like with my 3 homes that I had, that was long term, I was maybe making after capex 2,500, right? Now my Airbnb in Michigan, I would say on average is pulling 4 or 5 thousand. You know what I mean? Like, and that's one house. So, and when I'm in peak months, my take home's like 8K. So for me, I just know STR is my strategy. It's in line with what I want to do with my lifestyle.
And I will add, I think that you need to look at your area, because you're in an area where, because we talked about this briefly when we were in Vegas, where it makes sense. When I had experimented with Airbnb in my area, I'm not a destination area, I'm not a high cost area. I had a 1 bedroom that made sense, and the difference between long term and Airbnb were really worth it. But I did a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house, and the cleaning rates were so much higher, the utilities were higher. There was just a lot more expense in it, that there was a slight difference, but for the effort and the organizing and probably all the towels I threw away and furnishing and bedding and all that stuff, that size of home in my market was not worth it. So I just want to comment, make sure you pay attention to your market, because Airbnbs are going to provide differently in different areas.
And you got to make it special. And I think that's why I like John Litt's Deconstructing Dreams, right? He's making his like a theme and unique. He's putting in that work to make his STR stand out. And to that point, Saturdays, Ray and like he said, his buddy Chris have the short-term rental call in the school community, and they go over all kind of their analysis of deals, properties, kind of the themes on people, things are working on. So it's a great place to be if you are looking for the short-term rental. And yeah, like I said, Emily, you and Ray did talk a little bit. I know that the lobby talks we had in the downtown Grand are some of the best times. But I think you maybe even had Ray want to know more about your market. Like I think he's kind of interested to see if that's a market he wants to invest in. So,
Oh, hey, I got to add to this, okay? I think Emily's market, from the sounds of it, sounds a lot better than Pittsburgh's. Just saying.
There are some great deals. like what I told Ray, there's some good things here. There's just not as many in volume. And so there's just not as much available. And then 2, you don't have really many property management options here. So if you just want to pass it off to a property manager, you're probably not going to have the experience that you would in an area where there's competition for property managers. If you're going to self-manage somehow, then yeah.
You know what I think I liked about it when we were chatting was your homes aren't as old, right? The like some of the homes that they were talking about in Pittsburgh, they tend to be older homes. And you know, I was talking to Jim, and he said I want to fly down there and fully gut this thing. Bro, I'm like having flashbacks to my Michigan property. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, right? So I think that was what really intrigued me about your location. And from what you were saying, there's potential maybe cash flowing $400.
Yeah.
And even in this market, from what you were saying. So I found that to be really exciting. And what year were these homes built again, Emily?
So again, there's tons of variety, but the ones that I was telling you about that I have 3 of, those were built in the 80s, like early 80s.
Cool.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is still better though. I'll just leave it at that.
There are so many places and options that work. I just realized when I started looking at some of those property taxes in Pittsburgh, I was like, dang, after I pay property taxes this high and then on top of that pay a manager, it adds up.
No, definitely. So yeah, to your point, I think, and I hope everyone takes this away, is that every market you can succeed in. There's
Yep.
a lot of, but you can't just look strictly at numbers. There is a lot of other factors you have to include in it. Like, you know, I always say it's kind of what team is built there, and I try to piggyback off of other people's systems or what strategy you're going to do. So yeah, definitely if Ray is looking to do short-term rental, Pittsburgh is probably not the most ideal market for that, or even rent by room. So a lot of people were considering trying to do rent by room, but Pittsburgh's properties are much lower in price point and the rents aren't as high as other areas. So it's still fairly affordable. So doing rent by room is not a strategy that's probably going to work very well, right now in Pittsburgh. So yeah, it's definitely not just the numbers on a spreadsheet, right? So you have to factor in a lot of other things. John Litt says, Ray, all the properties I see you photograph are the very large and very high-end units. Are you own properties that level as well? Do you own properties? I think.
Yeah, so to answer his question, no, my properties I would say are B plus properties, you know. I guess the house that I'm about to move out of is worth like 750. And I think this one will do really well in my area. It's got a massive lot. I got it really themed out really nicely. But the issue is mortgage is $3,700. So I have to make sure that this will do well on the Airbnb side. But once again, this was a house hack that I'm doing. So the money that I'm making from it, I was never really expecting in the first place, right? So yeah, we'll see what this one does. But no, most of my properties are B. I would consider them B properties.
So what are you, if you're moving out of your house that you were living in, are you moving into a rental then? Because it makes sense to rent and then Airbnb your house, or are you buying,
Oh
like
no.
where are you going?
See, if you would have watched my video with
I
Zuber,
will.
you would
I
know
just
my
watched it.
story.
The long story short on this is that no.
Yeah, long story short, watch my video. No, I'm just joking. No. Emily, like, what's happening is the property I bought in 2010. My boy Curtis told me, "Hey, why don't you just move into that one? Because that one's in an HOA." And I thought I was gonna go weasel my way around the HOA and just do it anyway.
And
But
Airbnb it.
yeah, but I'm
Okay.
gonna be responsible. So what I'll do is I'll just move into that house, and the mortgage on that's like $1,200. So
Cool.
therefore, it's a great way to kind of offset my $3,700 mortgage here,
Yep.
right? And the way I see it is, I was making roughly 1,600 if you take away some money for capex, maybe walking away $1,300 a month in cash flow on that property. So if I can beat $1,300 a month, I think I'm going to be in a good position with this house being an Airbnb.
Yeah. cool.
Just the part that he did leave out is what did or how did Curtis approach you or convince you of this, right? What was it? What did he say to you?
Yeah, no, I think for some reason I didn't even think about moving back into that house. I think I was so comfortable in this house that in my head I wasn't thinking about doing that. But Curtis is very good about, man, he's such a strategist. Once this guy gets like 100 units, he's going to be freaking crazy. But long story short, there he goes again. Long story short, damn. But but anyways, I think, damn, I don't even know where I was at. What was I talking about?
Well, basically, Curtis came up to you, I think, and told you something about house hacking, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Curtis just told me, just like, just shift around, maybe house hack, move into that one. And I think I really got a chance to think about the strategy. And I said to myself, Curtis made me do a house hack at 37. Shoot, why can't I move back into my old house at 37? I just hope he doesn't make me move into a house with no shower. Okay, that's what I hope he stops convincing me.
All right, we gotta clear things up. There's a lot of inside jokes going on right now. So one is why is it a long story short? Is if you go watch Ray's video, you'll figure out why. But someone did leave a comment on that, so go check out that video with Michael Zuber and Curtis. His first house hack, he did not have a shower in his unit. He boarded up the room. He would shower at the gym, shower at the girlfriend's house, the mom's house, but that is the joke with Curtis. But Curtis, so you left it out, Ray. What I was trying to get to was Curtis basically told you you're not too good to house hack, right? Or you're never too good to house hack, and that's what got you really thinking and the idea of house hacking again. I see Harrison here. He says, Emily, you have the superpower of constant action. What is something that brings you peace?
I am just honestly, the honest answer is since I was very young, have felt this sense of I need to have financial security. And I've always been so driven by that. When I was, before you're 16, you can get a job, and I'm not in an area where you can, was super walkable. And there were kids that could work at certain places at like 14 or 15, like McDonald's or whatever. My parents were like, you can't get a job if it inconveniences us and we have to take you there. So I started watching people's dogs and walking dogs and cleaning up dogs, like in my neighborhood. I've always just been super driven by wanting financial security. So I don't want stuff. I don't want things. I just want to know that I have a certain amount of money available that like nobody can take away from me. And so for me, what brings me peace is financial security. And that's why I do what I do. I don't want to have a fancy house. I don't want to have a fancy car. I literally just want peace of mind. And that's the only thing that I know that will bring that to me.
Well, on that point then of peace of mind or financial security, Chris Wissing, who's in the chat, I think he's gonna come back and watch later. But I know he's been struggling with, and I've seen a lot of posts recently in school, is people trying to figure out if they should pay off their properties. Or so that is one way that you would increase cash flow, right? Once you have a paid off property, definitely the cash flow is going to increase quite a bit. So that is something that people are kind of going back and forth on because they see, of course, Dave Ramsey believes in no debt. Dion has paid off properties. He says it's the biggest financial mistake he's made. But you know, and then you also have people like Coach Carson who's taken some properties to pay off some other properties. And what was the other one? Oh, and then you have Jason Hartman who spoke at the event, who's the refi till you die type of mentality, right? So for you folks, what is your guys' thoughts on paying off properties or focusing on that?
I'll go real quick. I think it comes to, again, what is what how does it make you feel? Like, does it fulfill you? Does it give you that peace of mind that Emily was talking about? You have to ask yourself, like, once again, if it works for you, then do it, right? Like, if that's what's going to help me sleep at night. Like, I'll give you an example. One of our family members, Reese's dad, is specifically my wife's dad. He's definitely overthinks a lot of things, and it stresses him out, right? So he's one of those people that would like to just have things paid off. And there's just some people who think like that, right? And they can't get it out of their head, and it stresses them out. So if that gives you the peace of mind, who's there to judge you, right? And who cares? At the end of the day, you're sleeping at night and it makes you happy. That's all that matters. That's my opinion on it.
Emily, do you have any thoughts on paying off properties, or kind of maybe what's your vision or goal on it? Or
Yeah, I know a lot of people that have their primary residence paid off and it maybe didn't make sense to do that. But like Ray said, they'll even tell you this didn't make sense to do this, but it made me feel good and it made me be able to sleep at night. And so that goes back to what is your goal? And also emotionally, where do you want to be? Because some people know I still want to keep buying stuff. That wasn't the best choice, but emotionally and mentally, it was the best choice for their family. Or maybe they're the high income earner. They want to make sure that their primary residence is at least paid off if something were to happen to them, whatever your reasoning is. And so I kind of, at least right now, when I make a trajectory for myself, have a bit of a stair step method in mind. And that's why I started to flip some of these properties versus holding on to them, is because it's more capital that I can inject back in. So I kind of started to think of buying and holding one, and then flipping one, and then buying and holding one and flipping one, and then that, instead of just holding, then I have more cash injected back in. And also, as I get toward the end of the ones that I've had for a long time, so I've had properties that I've had for, you know, that are on 15 or 20-year notes that we're getting closer. I'm not going to pay them off now because the interest rates are so good too. So that's the thing to think about as well. If you bought something at a certain time, I have properties that are at a 2.875 interest rate. Now, would it be nice to pay them off? You go, oh, that one's so close, I should just pay that one off and have the cash flow. But if you do the numbers and if you're still trying to grow, it's stupid, because then I can, instead of borrowing, I can keep the money from this flip and buy something else and not have injected that into the 2.875 interest rate and then borrow at 7. Why would you do that? Now, if I was toward the end and I'm 2, 3, 4, 5 years away from being done buying stuff, then it makes sense. Maybe flip, pay that one off, flip one, pay that one off. But because I'm still growing, I'm not there yet. So I have like 3 or 4 I was looking at the other day that maybe in the next 5 years will probably pay off because they're so close. But then you go, but that interest rate is so low. That's kind of stupid. So you got to balance that emotional with what actually is logical.
I think to both of what you folks touched on, I think some of it is a financial decision, right? Like you're saying, where you're at in your journey. Something may make financial sense to do it a certain way, but to the flip side, the other side of paying it off is a lifestyle decision. Sleep well at night. So just like anything, right? It kind of comes down to, you have to know yourself, what your goal is. I think the one thing that I notice though is maybe the approach to, if your goal is to pay off the mortgage, maybe the approach that people are taking for it. So like someone posted that, like maybe paying $300 a month additional, right? You're going to pay it off that much quicker and save this much on interest. And I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that, but like for me, I don't want to make additional payments. I'd rather keep it liquid and make just one big lump payment if my goal was to pay it off.
Yes.
So that would be my approach to it. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that.
For me, it's once again, I want to live off my cash flow as a way to inject into my vacation so I can meet all these ORAT members and take my RV and have campfires with them. So like for me, it's all about living on the cash flow. I don't care about paying off the houses. It'll happen eventually, which will be great, but I want to get to that $200,000 cash flow as soon as possible.
Well, and so I think that's where I was talking about towards the end. Like like Mark was saying, I don't want to pay a little bit more actually if it's so far off. Like if you still have a huge principal balance, but when I get to the point where I, you know, like I have a couple properties that I owe maybe like 50 something or 60 left. When I get to the point where I'm at 20, it's going to be really hard not to just be like, I'm just going to pay that off, because then the income for the year, it's like, what's the opportunity cost? What's the return on paying that off? And then I have the full rent, right? So then that really ups my cash flow once I don't have a mortgage on it. When it's 10 years off from being paid off, why pay a little bit extra? But when it's like, okay, now I can pay that off and have all that extra rent every month. So it's like when I'm at the end, then it will be harder. But right now, yeah, I agree. I'm not going to just put like throw pennies in the pond.
So before I get to Jason's comment, well, I'll just get to that real fast. And so Jason says Emily is fantastic to listen to, uh, on a to go on a thought run in 1.5 speed because you're already a fast talker. You should listen to yourself that way sometime.
So I listen to my podcasts, not mine. When I listen to a podcast, I put it at 1.8 speed because people, for me, talk too fucking slow. And one time I was checking one we uploaded to make sure it uploaded right, and it was mine. And I was like, oh my God. And I had to put it on 1 time speed.
So, yeah, so back to kind of what we're talking about paying off the mortgage. So I think we all kind of agree we wouldn't be paying extra monthly. I mean, if we were going to pay it off, we'd rather pay it off in a big chunk. But some people's responses, and I think I don't know if you guys feel, but they were more concerned that if they stockpile all this money now to make a big payment, they're going to buy something else, or they're going to buy
Then
that next.
don't.
Well, but that's why they make the monthly payment, right? So that for them, it's like, if I build up this big amount, I'm going to buy the next great deal. So
That's why
that's
I like to keep it, because at least if something really good came up, then you can. And then do you have a little bit more but that's why I don't want to do a little bit at a time, because if something really good comes up, I want to be able to buy it.
so I was thinking about, like I said, we're always talking about, got to know the goal or what the vision. So let's say ultimately your plan was to pay off the mortgage. You do have concerns about, like you're saying, building up, someone building up that amount and then using it on something else. I would say that's fine, because now you might buy a better asset. Now you just sell a different asset to pay off, right? So it's almost like replacing, you're getting another asset to add, but then now you sell a different piece off to pay off that mortgage that you were thinking about paying off. But it's having the pieces to always do something different. But
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't like be worried about, I'm building up this amount and I might spend it on the next great deal. But it's kind of like, I probably would want to do that and now replace the great deal that I just bought and now sell off something else and then pay off that property that I wanted to pay off.
Can I just add this too? It's just like I feel like we have so many go-getters here in the ORAT, and generally they're doing more than 4 units, right? But I think there's every once in a while there's people like me in here who are just like, it's okay to take 2 to 3 years to go buy a house when you're ready. You know what I mean? And those are, I don't think it gets said enough, because I think for me, the last three I like bought year after year. I bought 3 in a row, right? And now I'm like, bro, I'm chilling. I'm gonna chill for like the next 2 years, and I'm gonna cheer you guys on, and I'm gonna do my Airbnb thing. And I think it just needs to be let known for the people who maybe are just trying to get to 4, that you don't gotta like sprint so crazy. You can do it at your own pace. You know what I mean?
I would like to add to that. I also think you see all these people who have a lot of properties, but we talked about this in Vegas a little bit. It's a house of cards, and it's all going to fall down, and then you're starting over. And so I think it's really important. And I'm not telling anyone how to live their life, but for me, and I think becoming a part of a community and finding people that are investing made me realize I could be a little bit more aggressive than I was, because my journey has been so spread out. But I'm also not willing to be I wake up at night stressing anyway. I don't need to make it worse on myself. And so I bought my first property. It was a couple years before I bought because I financially couldn't. It was a couple years before I got my second property. And then it was a handful of years before we got our next property, which was a triplex, which was probably our best buy ever. And then it was several years before we bought our primary home that had an ADU on it. And then it was then we started getting more aggressive. Then we did a flip. then we bought a fourplex, and then it compounds, right? But at first it was, I had to have my debt to income ratios right. I had to have enough money for that next down payment. I needed to know I had enough for reserves if, God forbid, a bunch of things go wrong on those first couple at once. And so it was years between each of those properties of just saving and waiting to get my ratios right and being able to qualify because I didn't know about DSCRs. And so it really was big gaps between those properties. And now, I mean, right now, because we're flipping a couple, I think I have like 15 properties right now. But for a long time, I had one, and then I had two, and then so it was a slog.
I see Hold It with PM Jen tuning in from Instagram. Go check her out. She has a lot of interesting stories going on right now. Follow her on TikTok and Instagram. She was at the Vegas event. I believe we will be seeing her next year also in January. I'll try to get her on in a few weeks. For those that are listening, also, I think what I'm going to do on Wednesdays with Joe and Lauren is we're going to try and bring on a new school member every week to join us. So anyone that wants to kind of share what they're doing, join the shenanigans, talk about their story. I'm going to try and bring someone on. So Jeff will be joining us on Wednesday. Jeff Dombach. He was in Vegas. He's in York, Pennsylvania. He's the one that actually introduced me to Jen. So Jeff will be on Wednesday with us. Let's see what else we got here. John Litt says, I made the mistake of extra payments on a very low interest loan before I started watching all the strategies. Later, I ended up doing a cash out refi to purchase the next property and kept cash flowing. Yeah. He says, such a waste of time and effort. I think part of it too is once you make that extra payment, though, now it's behind a paywall. There's no way to access that extra payment unless you are going to do a cash out refi or something like. But your cash flow doesn't increase until it's completely paid off, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's the thing people don't
sometimes. Unless maybe it's like a primary residence, or it was a primary residence and you're trying, maybe you did a conventional loan without 5%, you're trying to get to that 20 so that PMI falls off. I mean, there's tangible things where it lowers your payment so it increases your cash flow. There's pieces where it makes sense. But and again, back to the emotional, do you just want to pay off your primary home or whatever? But if you're looking at it from a cash flow financial perspective, if there's not, hey, here's when PMI falls off or XYZ, then yeah, it probably doesn't make sense.
So Harrison says, you are rocking it on patience, Ray. I am opposite after yesterday's Pittsburgh or Western PA Accountability Group call. I reached out to Jeremy Taggart, who's one of the people we work with. He also came to the Vegas event because Harrison, though, says, because I'm tired of waiting. Yeah, I think, that's the part, right? I think a lot of people has been sitting on the sidelines kind of trying to find that right deal. Let me ask you this, Emily, because you seem very motivated, very active. Do you think people's making quick decisions sometimes is a good way to determine, I guess, I can't think of the right way to, I forgot the post that I shared, but it's kind of the quick decision making as far as being successful.
Say that again. Sorry, I was reading a comment. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I'm trying to think of what the post that I shared was, but it's almost about people that make quick decisions, that are able to make decisions quickly, is kind of a factor in determining how successful people will be.
Yeah, I think anybody I know that is pretty wealthy decides pretty quick, and they all say, I've heard this a million times, it's not what you decide, it's that you decide. And there have been things I've decided quick on that I've had to maybe pivot a little bit, but there's also things that have delayed me and cost me a lot of money because I've taken too long. So again, whenever I talk to somebody who is pretty successful, they don't dwell on shit. They just, and I think part of that probably comes from they have the buffer of the situation they're in, financially, they can kind of figure it out if something's not quite right. If you are putting every dollar you have into something and this is your first property and you're taking a huge risk, educate yourself. But like, I know people that have been educating themselves for 5 years and they haven't bought something because they're not ready yet. So you also have to know yourself and be realistic with who you are.
Let's see what else we got. Lazy Sausage says, my new goal is buying 9 studio apartments for about $360K. I'll own the whole building, 10 units, and I can get about 900 a month for each.
Nice.
Yep, Pittsburgh is the best call in school. I'll agree with Yasik on that one. Hey, James is here tuning in. Anything else you guys want to dig into? I mean, I don't want to take you guys too long.
I'm just going to point out, in case anybody doesn't know this, so over here, somebody said they had an FHA loan, so for a 203K FHA, so they did a rehab with an FHA program. It never falls off the PMI. If you do it, too late now. If you do an FHA loan and you put, I think it's 10 or 11, or if you put 10% down, the PMI falls off at 11 years. It doesn't matter when you get to 80/20. If you keep it for that long, your PMI falls off at year 11. If you put 9% down, this isn't going to happen. So if you do FHA and you can do, I know you only have to do 3.5% down. If you can do 10% down and you plan to keep it for the life of loan, the PMI will fall off at the 11th year. Either way, depending on where you're at, you'll be way beyond 80/20 at that point. But most people are going to refi before that point anyway. So, but something to keep in mind if you're doing those rehab loans.
This is a great point. Chris Webb says, I would ask, why are you making the choice? If you are sick of waiting, why? If not, why? Ray explained he is fine with waiting. There are times to act and times to wait.
And to be honest with yourself, rental property investing is not for everybody. And so maybe sometimes people find a group and they think they kind of get swept into it. And maybe you have this analysis paralysis because it's not for you. You don't want the stress. You don't want the fear. You don't want I think most people can handle it. But I have clients that buy a rental and they come back to me once that first year's lease is up and they go, nope, we're selling it. That was not for us. So also just be honest with yourself. There's lots of ways to make money and it's okay if this is not the way for you.
One of the things that I would love to leave somebody with, because usually I'm the troll at the campfire looking at the stars, just gazing, okay? But if we haven't gotten a chance to hang out at a campfire together, this is what I would suggest you do. When you are asking yourself about building your portfolio and building your timeline and lifestyle, ask this questions like, if you were on your deathbed, what would be important? You know what I mean? And that always tells me exactly what I need to know. I know it seems extreme, but it really puts things in really good perspective for me.
I have to prep Emily for that. You know. Hold on. Let me see. Where was I at? Yep. Just I don't want to go too much longer. So if you guys got anything else, I do want to remind everyone, like I said, go check out Zuber's interview with Ray recently. And Emily has a great interview that just came out with Steve Rosenberg, and Gus was also a part of that. So go check that out. I'll put their channels in the chat. Any final words from you guys?
That I wasn't laughing at Ray. I was laughing at, so Marc commented in the group chat to smile because I have RBF. And so that's why I was laughing, not because of what Ray said. So I just want to clarify to those of you that didn't see that message. I agree with Ray.
No, like the thing I wanted to say was I actually was I caught a cool episode that you and Gus did, Emily, and you guys were interviewing I think it was a younger gentleman with 200 plus units or something like that, and I love the questions you guys are asking. You're asking all the hard questions, and that's my favorite thing. I want to get a deep dive, and also like one thing that I would ask, and this is me selfishly asking, okay? I love reverse engineering people's history in their life and why they are as aggressive as they are, right? So like if you could kind of deep dive into their story a little bit more backwards and go a little deeper, then I could understand. Now I understand where this person's coming from and why they are wanting to grow this big. Because usually you can look at their past and it kind of tells you a little bit of a story. And I'm pretty sure there's a story in there for you. You need to get on with Zuber. That'd be cool to hear.
Yeah, I think part of that's becoming more comfortable with hosting, and it's hard when it's somebody you don't know. If it's somebody I know, I kind of know how much they're comfortable sharing, and someone can always tell me no, or someone can always tell me, you know what, I overshared, don't share that episode or whatever, and I would respect that. But I just always want to be careful. I want to get information, but I don't want to push somebody. I just never want to make someone uncomfortable. So I think as I get more comfortable with hosting, I'll get better asking those questions, but giving them permission to decline if they don't want to go down that line of questioning. But it's just me learning.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, go check out Emily's channel. She's getting a lot of big names on there, a lot of information. Her and Gus are doing a great job. Like I said, Ray's interview with Zuber. I thought you were going to talk more about how you attended year two, very skeptical, and you didn't get into that, but that would have been interesting to tell them that you were definitely against it. You wouldn't have been the first person to say, I bullied you to the event. Someone else mentioned that recently on his episode.
Dude, if I could, I'd literally have an accountability group where everybody has to share emotional stuff. I'm just a deeply emotional person, and I just love connecting with individuals and understanding their story. And I don't know, that's my favorite thing about conversations. That's what I did all at ORAT. You know what I mean? And yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't say this, but is Dallas doing any recordings with Joel? Is that what I heard, Emily? I swear or maybe he said in Dallas. I thought he said Dallas. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, I don't think so.
I thought he wanted like the small business side, maybe. So that's
not to my knowledge.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
maybe, but not that I've heard about.
All right, maybe I shouldn't have said that then.
Maybe it's in Dallas.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now that I think about it, he's probably doing some stuff in Dallas. But yeah, hopefully, Emily, I think you had a great time. I think Dallas I think a lot of people like meeting both of you. Hopefully, you guys will be back in January. Hopefully, a lot. I'm actually hoping a lot of new people can attend January now that it's not in February. I think there's a lot of people that just couldn't make it, like Stan, if he's still here, can't wait to meet him in person. But let's see. Yeah, Yasik stirring things up again. Start a channel where you take a shot of liquor choice every 10 minutes or a special gummy and see where the conversation goes.
Oh my God, dude, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Bro, could you imagine everybody would be cooking?
I say you keep people awake for a really long time and then see what they say, because that's when people get the weirdest, is when they're tired.
Well, okay. Well, to that point, what was your thoughts of the lobby discussions? Was that the only time you kind of hung out at the Grand that early or late? I don't know how you want to say it.
Yeah, because I had done the meetups with you guys earlier in the week before, but I don't yeah, I like that, like chatting where you can, because we don't drink at all. Like, it's not, people are like, oh, I don't drink, like, but then like that's just not our thing. So like the late night being out somewhere, we didn't really do that, but the chatting in the lobby, that's the stuff, that's the type of stuff I like, because you can hear each other. It's not like you're somewhere where you can't actually talk to somebody because the music's so loud. That was my favorite, is just having that type of conversation in a place where you could hear people.
Yeah, like I'll add to that. Like when you and I got to chat, Emily, that was just so much fun, right? Like, I don't know, just like those kind of conversations. We're all just chilling in the lobby. And I don't know if you know, but like the last day, Yasik and all of us, we were out there like till 4:30 in the morning. I'm pretty sure it was so bad, bro.
For those that will be attending in January, hopefully, there's going to be a lot of new things going on. Sounds like Zuber's trying to definitely improve the VIP experience. I think the two places that the beer park and the container park were two great places.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a lot of space. Like you said, it's not too loud. People can talk and sit down. So those are two places we'll probably go again. I think people actually prefer the other Denny's location better. So that might be up for discussion again. But the other thing Zuber is talking about, so we're trying to see, I think the downtown Grand is kind of the consensus, kind of the most convenient for a lot of people. But he's trying to set up a VIP event Friday night before the actual event for VIPs at the Grand. So we're trying to see if we can get the conference room, if we get enough people staying there.
Oh, do they have a conference room at the Grand?
Yes, I think if you trying to think where it was, I think it's right behind, like by the front desk. If you're facing the front desk,
back behind those chandeliers.
Yeah.
Oh,
over
yeah,
there.
because there was some sort of training. There was like an ADA training the first day that we got there back there.
Yeah, so I think the plan is to see if we get enough people there, can we get a room discount? Plus, will they throw in that event room? But Zuber's willing to kick in $5K. But that would be for the food and tip and everything. So Jim's working on it, so we'll see what he does. But hopefully that can come to fruition, because I think it'd be great to have like a pre-event VIP thing Friday night. But yeah, I got nothing else this week. I'll be going live tomorrow 9 a.m. With Bitcoin Nick, so that should be fun. And like I said, if anyone wants to jump on Wednesdays with Joe, Lauren, and I, let me know. But next week is spoken for with Jeff Dambach. But anything else with you guys? No?
I just had a quick question for Emily. Your podcast that you're doing, is it on a different platform than YouTube?
So it's hard to find it because it's still so small, but I link it. It's the link to it is in my Instagram bio. And so it is the same as the YouTube, but it's just not in video format. So there's older stuff on there. There's older episodes that I don't have on the YouTube from before I started the YouTube channel, but it's just called My House Podcast. And I will tell you the reason for that is when I bought the first triplex, so it was our third property, but it was the very intentional. It was the first one that was like hard. And you know that song? It's called "Welcome to My House." Da, 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 da. And I was driving. Dallas didn't care. He came and signed real quick, and I went to it. And it was the first one that I was like, hell yeah. And I drove over there, and that song came on the radio, and I was so pumped because it was the first one that was like tangible growth for me. And so that's kind of where the title for that came from. But your house can be your investment property. It can be your own home. It can be however you make money with real estate. So it's called My House Podcast, and it's linked in my Instagram.
And are you just more looking for like big investors, like doing
No.
like what who are you interviewing? Just curious.
Anybody, because I want to have a variety of all the ways you can be in real estate. So that's just happened to be some of the people that Gus has reached out to. As long as it's real estate related, like somebody reached out to me one time and they wanted to come on and talk about like it was like transitioning from the military back into work life, which I totally respect, but I'm like, it's more of a real estate podcast. You know what I like? Did you then do real estate? And then it would be like, yeah, for sure. Come on. But so yeah, anybody that's investing in real estate in some sort of way, or a real estate professional or anything, that's all we're looking for. So if you want to come on, we'll set it up.
Oh no! I wasn't trying to invite myself. No, I just wanted.
No, but come on, I'm inviting you. I'm saying anybody that, because you have that perspective of the investor and then the photography and the way people prep their houses. Because even as investors, people sometimes there's things they could be doing a little better, but you have the eye for it.
Yeah, you can title it "Long Story Short."
There you go.
Oh God!
And then we can have a smile with like a.
You guys are trolls.
No, I'm complimenting you. I want those teeth. Have you, was it Orbit where the girl used to go and it would like have the little shine? Was it the Orbit gum commercials?
I think so. You know what I'm saying? I think so.
Oh, well, oh shit, wrong one. Harrison is saying, I want a Wings episode, Emily.
We could do, but the mouth, I hate mouth noises, man. You know, like when people eat and they record, it's like, are you kidding me, man? We could do like hot ones. We could do a play on it, but you don't want to hear us talking in a microphone while we're eating also.
All right. Well, oh shit. Why am I sharing this again? Well, like I said, that's all I got. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I always have fun. Emily, thanks for always doing this on Friday. Ray will be 10 a.m. Pacific is the short-term rental call tomorrow.
Yep. Saturdays at 10 a.m.
So Hyder said Emily is on a roll.
Ray, I have a serious question for you, and I need you to do this for me. I need a picture of you, like with a big smile, a big shit-eating grin. Yeah, I can't get a screenshot and get it good. I need you to send me a picture with a big smile. I'm serious. Just send me one.
Oh my God, what are you gonna do with it?
You ain't gonna AI. You can just AI it now.
No, you ain't gonna AI me.
I'm gonna hold on.
Nope.
No, because okay, if I try to take a screenshot from this, it will not be as good. Give me a good one, just a big, and send it to me.
What are you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna make a thing that says "Long story short," and your teeth is gonna shine, and I'm gonna print it on a fucking t-shirt.
Oh my God. Yeah, you ain't getting that photo, bro.
I'm gonna get it either way, so you can give me the one that you approve, or I'm gonna get one.
All
All right, we got a new bully in town.
No, it's fun. I'm not bullying. These are all based on compliments. None of this
Exactly. You know, now I do have something to say. So before maybe we wrap things up, I think Zubert has been saying year 3, he finally felt comfortable of saying it was like a family reunion. And I think if anyone comes to like the accountability calls or even these live streams, I think they're really gonna get that feel. You notice that everyone is willing to kind of poke fun at each other and kind of laugh with each other and tell stories and share things. So kind of on a just on a serious note, I think definitely this is a family, right? And I think a lot of people are noticing that, and even on the accountability calls, people are messaging me like, man, this is like high school. We're just everyone is just having fun, text messaging back and forth. So definitely I'm glad being a part of this, and it is fun seeing it grow.
I want to add to that. Like literally, when I'm traveling the U.S., I'm literally gonna look at the school map, and if you're in my path, I'm coming over. End of story. You know what I mean? That's my goal. Like I'm actually going to Moab with Rusty and his wife, and they're from California, and we're gonna go RVing together. Like these are the kind of friends that I want in my life, and this is to me what real wealth is, right? Wealth is the people that you surround yourself with that you genuinely like. And I'm fortunate to say that I like a lot of people in the ORAT community.
I don't know why John is saying you deserve it though. He's saying get him, Emily. Ray deserves
It's gonna
it.
be a beautiful image. Just give me the picture to start with. I'm serious. Please, it's gonna be so fun.
Stan, who will be in January, so he'll get a taste of what it actually feels like to be at the event. He said it's not bullying, it's aggressive persuasion. Stan, I gotta get you back on actually, man. It's been a while. You're always traveling though, but we'll get you back on. Yep, Yasik says only true friends can talk to each other that way. No fake BS here. And what did you give Yasik in Vegas, Emily? What?
Oh, a patch that says "suck less," because he's just always so straightforward with people about. Okay, don't dwell on it. Like just no nonsense, which I love. And it happened to be in Vegas. There was someone selling patches, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, that's perfect for him."
Oh
my gosh! I feel like I'm an encourager. Like I'm hard on you, but it's because I want you to can succeed. I'm like your hype man.
Oh, hold on. I got to screenshot this part. So we got to see it.
Why?
Emily,
I need more detail here.
All right. How about anyone agree that Emily's going to make someone cry this year? Put it in the chat. Hey, Andy's tuning in. Oh, you know what? Everyone, also, if you haven't, go check out Andy. He started his YouTube channel finally, and he put out his first video the other day. So go subscribe and support him there. And for those of you, like I did mention, pinned in the school comment section, there is a link that you can check out everyone's social media handles and add yours if you want to also. But there's Andy's new YouTube channel. Okay, Stan will be, I'll get Stan back on. Stan, you also got to join school, man. Come join us there. Crying first. Yeah. All right. Well, no one else agrees that you're going to make anyone cry, I think, Emily. So we'll see.
Okay. We need to go. Dion's trying to go live. I have to go to work.
All right. Yeah, that's true.
Ray to go take a picture for me and send it over.
I'll send you one of Ray.
Okay, Ray, either you send it or Marc's going to, and we all know what he does with AI.
No, Marc is not going to send a photo. I'll send you a photo.
One. Text me one.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, someone does say you have a cute smile, though, Ray.
Shut up.
It's about to get cuter.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you folks tomorrow.